Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Sean Anderson, Most Valuable Podcast, and the upcoming segment is from our full Fast Break podcast that we recorded. And if you do want to check out that full podcast, head over to Blog Talk Radio/The Fast Break. You'll be able to find the full podcast over there. Anyways, let's move on to a different team in the West, and we're going to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. And there was a recent article put out by Zach Lowe on ESPN, and it says, Lakers dilemma, search for a superstar or keep it together. And we've had this discussion before. I think we had this before the season started. And Ricky, you said that this team should tank for a top 3 pick to bring in because they need that one more piece. And Dave and I were disagreed with you and said that they do need more time. They just need time to develop. I think this team can be set. Obviously, a 3rd pick won't help, or a top 3 pick won't hurt. But you don't need it.
It changes everything though when you set yourself back another year, and with the offseason contracts that they sign themselves up to. I mean, it changes the way this whole franchise is going.
Yeah, and the one thing we want to go to is we don't know if they'll get a top 3 pick, but this is really saying, should they trade for a star? And obviously DeMarcus Cousins has been brought up to pretty much every single team in the NBA here. But really, just the idea, should this team trade for a star and possibly give up on a guy like Jordan Clarkson? Obviously, Lou Williams could be expendable just because of how well he's playing, and you might get a lot of value from him. But should the Los Angeles Lakers blow up the current young core they have and try to get a star?
I'm going to say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because of where they sit in the West right now. And I look at their contracts. Like you said, this is a young core team. The only free agents they're going to lose after the season are Jose Calderon.
Big loss.
Big loss. Good loss, though. Then you have Metta World Peace and Thomas Robinson.
Yep.
3 guys to where it's like...
giving them some value, though.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where if you lost those 3 and never saw them again, you'd go, meh, okay, whatever.
Yep. No arguments.
What I think with this team is where they sit in the West. Right now, I mean, they just lost to the Magic the night we're recording this.
They're 1-9 in the last 10.
But when you look at it, they are 16 games back, 3 games back of that 8 seed. So for me, I sit there and I think, what's the benefit of going for it? You make the playoffs, you lose in the first round to the Warriors. Great. You can say you made the playoffs.
If they make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, if they do.
I mean,
but
right now
if you go for it.
I'm saying if you go for it, you trade for that veteran, and then you're like, great, we're the 8th seed. But there's no guarantee that that veteran that you brought in is, depending on which veteran it is, how long they have on the contract. I'm just talking a hypothetical veteran. How long they have. Let's say they're a guy who's done at the end of the year. Are they going to walk from you? Or if it's a guy where they're going to stay, there's no guarantee that you're a playoff team next year. So what I'm thinking is keep the young core together and just see where it goes. If you're a playoff team, great. You made the playoffs with a young talent. You can build off that. If you don't and you're a top 3 pick, you got your draft pick. It's a win-win.
And the one guys that Zach Lowe does bring up in his article is obviously DeMarcus Cousins. He brings up Paul George, who we talked about before, and then he brings up Russell Westbrook. But he did say Russell Westbrook is pretty much off the market now since he did have the extension. So really, you're stuck with 2 guys here, and this is more superstar and not a veteran. You're going for a superstar, guy that can make a difference. DeMarcus Cousins, and then obviously the rumors that were brought up for Paul George. So really, this question should be, should they blow up D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, and Larry Nance? I'll throw into there because I think he's a part of the core. I don't think he's going to be a starter, but I think he definitely could be a fantastic piece off the bench.
Can I flip the question out to, let's say it's Paul George. What would they need to give? What would you guys say they need to give up for Paul George? Because that needs to be nailed down before you can answer should they do it.
I'm not looking at their picks right now, you can't really give away. I think with the restriction on it, you cannot give away the pick as it is unless it's set. So that would you'd have to include that pick if it is a top 3 pick.
But why would
during the draft?
So that's the thing.
No, I'm saying like they can't make that trade until the draft.
No, I think what it is
if it's set at top 3.
It just becomes like, let's say Dave's the Spurs, I'm the Lakers. If they trade it becomes, if we still finish top 3, the Spurs would get it. If not, the 76ers would get it. That kind of a thing.
Well, I'm saying if it's a top 3 pick, though, that's going to have a lot of value.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to use
you don't trade away that much young talent and still expect to finish, the worst 3 teams in the league. And Ricky, well, you mentioned they're just a few games out of playoffs. They're just a few games away from being the worst team in basketball.
And that's what I'm saying. Keep the young core and let them kind of just see where they fall.
I'm for letting Uncle P and Sweet Lou go
But that's not going to bring you a star.
No, but that can bring you more
Young
potential
talent.
down the line. And that's what I'm aiming for, because I think what we've seen out of this team so far is it's promising, but it's not enough. Look, when I see Sweet Lou, like the best six-man in the league for the last, I don't know how many years, it's him and Crawford back and forth, basically.
He had one slip up last year, but that was a shit team.
Still, it's he has a lot of value right now. And Uncle, I call him Uncle Drew, Jesus.
Uncle Lou.
Uncle Pete.
He ain't Kyrie.
No, it's
Just
Uncle
call him
Pete.
Swaggy. Just call him
I
Nick.
don't want
No,
to.
it's Uncle
He
Pete.
is mature now.
Oh, God.
JR went down with an injury. You telling me there's not a little intrigue over there? Tell me there's not a little bit?
Go to your point.
That's what I'm saying. Is I think that you move those two guys and you get yourself another first rounder. It's probably gonna be a late one, but it doesn't matter because it's still another pick. I think between the two of them, you could definitely get value.
You think you can get a first round?
I think
draft
you get
pick?
a 25 through 30 for the best one of the best six-mans in the league.
For Lou,
And-
maybe, but for Swaggy P,
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
I don't think you can get a first rounder. But I understand. No, and
It's still you need to go get value because you are so close to the bottom. I say you let the kids play and maybe put Dang in there because he's been underperforming like a mofo right now, so that helps you lose.
But no one's probably going to take that contract. But
Well, no,
but,
that's what I'm saying. You let him play.
yeah.
You let him play.
I agree with you. I agree that you do have value on this team, and I think you should bring in young talent. I don't think you should really blow this up because I think we had this discussion the first time we talked about boogie trade rumors earlier, and we brought up the Lakers was would Luke Walton and DeMarcus Cousins be a good fit? And I just think that with the potential of this team, and you have D'Angelo Russell who will be a superstar in this league. I'm fairly confident in saying that. Julius Randle is a remarkable talent.
It's a borderline all-star.
I love Julius Randle, and I think I've defended him before
I
on this
think
podcast.
you're higher on him than anybody else here.
I think I defended him on this podcast, and I'm glad I did because he's just been proving me right so far. Brandon Ingram's been struggling.
Sort of doesn't. Like, look, I like Randall, but he's just that half notch below all-star. Like he's good, but he takes plays off. He definitely is clueless on defense, game in, game out. Like he just looks blind. And then sometimes
Pretty much LA in general is pretty clueless on defense.
not all
They've
the time.
sucked
Like
this year.
he has like that where I think he had like 5 blocks in 5 minutes or some crazy shit happened to
No,
him.
but I'm saying
like,
just like in general, the Lakers suck at defense.
sometimes
They're pretty bad.
No, because Brandon Ingram in his weird lankiness is able to just come out of nowhere and guard everyone on the court.
As a team in general.
Larry Nance gives you energy, gives you rebounds, gives you that hustle. He'll play defense on anybody.
As that whole team in general, though, they're terrible at defense. But let's get off that.
Screw you.
And the thing for me when I look at it is you got 2 ways to go. You do what Dave says. You trade Uncle P. There you go.
And
Dave.
Sweet Lou.
And Sweet Lou. You get those maybe young players, maybe draft picks.
Yep.
I'm looking more towards draft picks because you get to do what you want with it. If you bring in a guy like DeMarcus Cousins or Paul George, it goes back to the question that I asked that we never got an answer to, and I'll get one right now.
Salty.
What do you give up for? I'll let you guys pick. Pick who you choose, George or Cousins.
I
What are
think
you actually going to
I think
give
the
up
problem
for
with going
him?
for a superstar like that is that the clock instantly is on you then.
But
like
the-
you have all the pressure
But the
to
question,
win.
what do you
question
have
is,
to-
what do you give up?
You gotta give up stuff.
You're giving up.
It doesn't matter what you give up because the clock is on you.
Okay, but
You don't have any pieces around you after you get him to win.
But the question is, what would
doesn't
you give
matter.
up?
You give up
It's not
nothing.
the fact that they're trading it up. It's
think-
just he's asking the
and
question
here's-
of what are you going to give up? And I
here's
think
the
what you
reason-
give up is picks. I think you have to give up picks. You probably have to give up either Randall or Clarkson. And I think that, or you probably have to get rid of either. I mean, it's difficult
both.
to kind of say. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Randall, Clarkson,
And a
then,
one.
But yeah, and then picks. So I'm bad with trades. Trying to.
That is the exact reason, though, why I say don't do it.
I think
Because
Ingram and Russell are untouchable.
It's kind of a little bit of what both you guys were saying. First column A is what Sean was saying. As soon as he said, well, you got to give up picks, I'm off of that. Because this is a team that can use their future draft picks, that Luke Walton can go after guys that fit his system that he wants to bring into an already young, growing team. And then if you do what Dave said and you trade the 2 veterans that you got in Williams and P, you can get more draft picks. But Dave, it is also what you said, where you bring in Paul George, the clock is on you because you have Paul George. DeMarcus Cousins, maybe not, because we saw what happened the last time the Lakers brought in a superstar big. It didn't really work for him. I think you got to go with what you said, trading the guys, because think about this, and this is one guy I'm going to throw out there that I'm assuming we're going to talk about in our last segment. Could you imagine if they went out there and got either a guy like Lonzo Ball in the top 3, or they brought in another pick and was able to get a Malik Monk, and you could have D'Angelo Russell at the 1, you could have Ball or Monk, more so Monk because he is an actual shooting guard. Ball is more of that point guard, but I could put him at the 2 as well. And then a second year of Brandon Ingram finally, hopefully starting the beginning of second year, and that would be your 1, 2, and 3 for
And then you still have
backcourt.
Randall, Nance, and Question at 5.
Nance I like more than Randall, but Randall could be a good backup. And then
Nance-
Randall's better than Nance. What the fuck are you smoking?
I like
not saying
what
he's
Nance
better.
brings to the team.
You just like his highlight plays better.
I'm saying
I like
Nance
what
is
he
a better
brings to the
fit
team.
for the team right now. I think Randall, you need to have, he's a higher usage player.
Mm-hmm.
So he is similar to a Draymond Green, where he needs the ball in his hands to be effective, whereas Nance can play without the ball in his hands. He can stretch out. He is less of a commitment for the team to force the ball through, and therefore is more valuable as a role player. I think Randall could still, like I said, he's borderline all-star. That's his top end for me, and I respect it. I just think that because of all the guys you're naming, all these shooters on the outside who need the ball in their hands, having Randall on the floor kind of pulls that momentum away from that. So it depends on what direction they really want to go.
No, I agree with that. I'm not trying to say that I dislike Randall or dislike Nance.
Yeah.
But
You're just a Randall supporter too.
But I'm saying if they're going one-on-one, Randall's gonna fucking smoke him. And I'm just saying, like, Randall is the better player. He might be Nance might be a better fit, but again, you also have to realize he's playing less minutes. He is more flashy, and another thing
Nance is a role player.
too,
He's the ideal role player.
He's an ideal role player, and he might. The thing is he's usually not going up against number ones. He's not going up against NBA power forwards. He's usually going up against their bench. I'm not saying Nance is bad. Again, I think he's a key piece to it, and I think if you're saying who are the 4 players that you should keep around, if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, it's Russell, it's Clarkson, it's Russell, it's Randall, it's Ingram, and it's Nance. I think that Clarkson has made himself kind of expendable, especially if you go out and get a shooting guard. And if you go out and get a shooting guard, I think we are all in agreement here that it should be through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh, shit. Oh, it's just one of our videos scared me a little bit. Don't forget to check out that one. And also don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.